Hello, class. This is Mr. Sutton. Sorry I could not be there today, but hopefully this video will help you get through the assignment. So I'd like for you to first work on this front page of this document up until the quick notes part. So go ahead and pause the video, work on that, and then when you continue the video, I'll go over the answers. All right. So here are the answers I'm going to go through. A line passes through 0, 5, and 3, -1. Sketch this line on the coordinate grid below. So 0, 5 would be this point here, and then 3, -1 would be this point here. So that would be this line passing through both of those points. Identify 3 other ordered pairs that are also on the line. A lot of answers you could put here. 1, 3, 2, 1, 4, -3. Some other answers you could have put there, but those are 3 ones that are definitely on that line. What is the slope of this line? How do you know? The slope is -2. So doing rise over run from the 2 points, we would so they say when we go over 3, we go down 6, and go over 1, down 2. So from this point to this point, it's down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then to the right, 1, 2, 3. So that would be -6 because we're going down over 3. -6 over 3 simplifies to -2. Write the equation line. We know the slope is -2 and the y-intercept is 5. So in slope-intercept form, it'd be y equals -2x plus 5. They wrote it kind of weird here, but either way it works. It's the same equation. When the x value is 100, what is the corresponding y value? So we want to plug in x into our equation to find the y value. So -2 times 100 is -200, and then 5 minus 200 is -195. The equation tells us the y value at any x value from the y-intercept. We subtract 200 times. A different line also passes through the point 3, -1, but has a slope of 1/2. What is the y-intercept of this new line? So this new line has a point, it passes through 3, -1, so that same point on this line. But this time it has a slope of 1/2. So from this point, we want to rise 1, run 2, rise 1, run 2. I'll put a couple points down. In the other direction, we go down 1 to the left 2, down 1 to the left 2. So that would be this line here. What is the y-intercept of this new line? So you want to keep going until you pass the y-axis. So that would be a -2.5. And you can see that with the coordinates here as well. So for every one value that the x decreases, the y value decreases by 1/2. So sketch the line on the coordinate grid. What do you notice about this line in relationship with the first line you drew? You should notice that they cross at a 90-degree angle. And that is because perpendicular lines have opposite reciprocal slopes. So the slope of that first line we drew was a -2 slope, and then the slope of the second line we drew is 1/2. So they are reciprocals, meaning the fraction is flipped. This is a -2 over 1, so this becomes 1 over 2. And then they're opposite, meaning opposite sign. So this is negative and this is positive. So you want to change the sign and flip the fraction, and that will give you a perpendicular slope. So write and sketch the equation of a line that is parallel to the line in question 6. So parallel lines have the same slope. So this line would have to also have a slope of 1/2. The y-intercept could be anything here. It doesn't say that it crosses the y-axis at any point or goes to any specific point, but it does have to have that slope of 1/2. So that's this other line here. But yours could be anywhere, but it does need to be parallel to this line. So it should be running in the same direction could be up here, but it has to run in the same direction. So that is the front page. Now moving on to the quick notes part. This handwriting is kind of disastrous. I did not write this. So equation of a line in slope-intercept form. So y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope, rise over run. It's the rate of change. You can find m by y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. And then b is the y-intercept. That's our starting point for when we're graphing usually. Parallel lines have the same slope, and perpendicular lines have opposite reciprocal slopes. So if your slope is a over b, the perpendicular slope would be negative b over a. So opposite meaning change the sign. This is plus slash minus here. Reciprocal meaning flip the fraction. So those are your notes there. Make sure you pause this video and get those down. And then after you have that, work on this next part, the check your understanding. So you can work through those questions on the check your understanding. Pause the video, work on those, and then I'll go over the answers when you come back. All right, so the answers on the check your understanding. Write the equation of the line shown here. So this has a y-intercept of -4 and a slope of 2 over 3. So you rise 1, 2, and then run 1, 2, 3. So the equation of the line would be y equals 2/3 x minus 4. Write the equation of the line that passes through these 2 points. So here we would want to use y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So you want to label your points x1, y1, x2, y2, so that you can plug them into the right spot. The 1 and the 2, some students get those confused for exponents or maybe multiplication. There's no operation you need to do with those. That's just a numbering to indicate that these are 2 different y values and these are 2 different x values. And the x1 and the y1 should correspond to each other on the same point, and the x2 and the y2 should correspond to each other on the same point. So if you labeled them x1, y1, x2, y2, you should plug it in 15 minus 9, and then 2 minus -4. Now we have a negative in the formula, and there's also a negative with the 4. So you have to put both negatives there. So 15 minus 9 is 6. 2 minus -4 is 6. Minus negative becomes plus positive. So we have 6 over 6, which simplifies to 1. So that would be our slope between these 2 points. And then once we have that slope, we can plug that into y equals mx plus b, plug the 1 in for m. And then we can plug in one of our coordinates in for x and y, and then solve for b. So 15 goes in for y, 2 goes in for x, 2 times 1 is 2, subtract 2 on both sides, and we get b equals 13. So now we know what our b value is, what the y-intercept is, so that's 13. So y equals 1x plus 13 for our final equation. Number 3, which is steeper, the line given by -5x plus 2y equals 8, or a line with a slope of -3. So we need to find the slope of this line to compare. So we have to get it in y equals mx plus b form. So we would add 5x on both sides. We get 2y equals 5x plus 8. Divide by 2 on both sides, we get y equals 5 halves x plus 8 halves. So 5 halves as a mixed number is 2.5. So the -3 would be a steeper line, because as the number value gets bigger, it would be a more steep line. As it gets closer to 0, then it would be a shallower slope for that. So the -3 would be steeper. Determine if the lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. In this case, in A, these are neither. They're not the same slope, so they're not parallel, and they're not opposite reciprocal, so they're not perpendicular. They are opposite, but they're not reciprocal, so they're neither. And then this line, this is not in y equals mx plus b form, so we need to put it in y equals mx plus b form to find the slope. So we'll have to subtract the 5x on both sides, and then divide the 15. So we get y equals negative 1/3 x minus 8 over 15. So this does have a negative 1/3 slope, and so does this. So they must be parallel because they have the same slope. And then for number 5, write the equation of a line that is parallel to y equals negative 2/3 x, or sorry, y equals negative 2x minus 3, and goes through that point. So if it's parallel, it needs to have the same slope of negative 2. So we know our equation is y equals negative 2x plus b. We don't know what b value we need that will make it go through this point. So we plug in this point in for x and y. Negative 4 goes in for x, 2 goes in for y. So 2 equals negative 2 times negative 4 plus b. Now we can solve for b. Negative 2 times negative 4 is 8. Subtract 8 on both sides. 2 minus 8 is negative 6. So our b value is negative 6. So that means our equation is y equals negative 2x minus 6. So that is it for the notes. You can spend the rest of the time in class working on the IP, and have a good day.